2-0, the second victory of the tournament so far. Elsewhere in Group C, Spain are playing Zambia. Shaima Khalil is watching.
Spain are proving time and time again why they are a force to be reckoned with in this tournament. Their pressure, their persistence, the possession of that ball. The two-time Ballon d'Or winner, Alexia Putellas, just making those links in the midfield. And 8 minutes 42 seconds, Teresa Abiera delivers that first goal. The fastest first goal of the Women's World Cup 2023. And a couple of minutes after that, Jennifer Hermoso delivers the second one, her 100th appearance for her team and her 49th goal.
And the score is now 3-0. BBC News.
Take care of yourself, focus on your studies and not on boys, and also make great friends.
So my advice would be is to really listen to those who care about you, who have been through a particular experience, and listen to it and not repeat it if the end result was already tested and it was negative.
It is easy to feel insecure and doubt yourself when you are young, but it is important to remember that everyone has their own unique strength and talents.
No, you haven't tuned into a self-help show. Today's episode of The Forum is on the evolution of teenagers. And so we asked you to tell us what advice you would give your teenage self. And we received over 1,000 comments on our BBC World Service Facebook page. The rather sensible advice you just heard came in from listeners from Kathmandu, Jerusalem and Ethiopia. Thanks so much to everyone who got in touch. I had a few favourites of my own, including Christina from Vienna telling herself to spend more time with her grandparents, and Louisa from Rio de Janeiro telling her younger self to wear sunscreen on her face and hands. I hear you, Louisa. I'm Ella Al-Shamahi, and this is The Forum for the BBC World Service. I'm a paleoanthropologist, and so I'm really interested in the big evolutionary questions about teenagers. Why do humans go through this developmental stage? What's the point of all that teenage angst? And how come every generation stubbornly repeats the same mistakes? In some ways, the 21st century is a very unusual time when it comes to adolescence. See, according to the CDC, teenagers in the US smoke less, drink less, and have less sex than the previous generation. And worldwide, teenagers are spending a lot more time on their screens. And that's something lots of you have been asking questions about. Here's Abhilasha in Nepal.
Hi, my name is Abhilasha Rai Maji. I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal. I am 29 years old now. Even though I grew up in a city in Kathmandu, I had the opportunity, I was fortunate enough to get to play outdoors. We had a land near my house where I could play. I could go out, make real friends, which is very different from how teenagers are shaped these days, especially in the cities, because there's not much space. Children are indoors, mostly teenagers are very close to technology and they're always on their phones, they're playing games or using social networking sites. So that was not during how I grew up, and that really shaped who I am today, because that helped me connect with people, have interpersonal skills, and grow into who I am today. So my question to the panel is, what kind of psychological problems did teenagers face before, and how are they different in a digitalized world? And my next question is, what can parents, educators, and the community do to help teenagers overcome these psychological problems?
Thank you, Abhilasha. I have to say, I've heard this echoed all around the world, and it has personally become a real concern of mine. Very conveniently, we have with us one of the world's leading experts on adolescent psychology, Professor Lawrence Steinberg, who's based out in Philadelphia in the USA. His latest book is called You and Your Adult Child. Larry, let's take this one step at a time. What kind of psychological problems do teenagers face in the past? And have our teenage years always been fraught with angst?
Well, I think it's important to step back and ask, why do we have adolescence as a period of time? It's a transitional period between childhood and adulthood, and it's a time when individuals are trying to get prepared to go out on their own and be independent. And that includes, of course, finding a mate and reproducing, but it also means being able to function on your own. And I think because of that, our brains have been wired to be hypersensitive to the environment, because during a period of time when you're trying to acquire the skills you need to function independently, you need to be very, very attentive to what's going on in your world. And I think that makes adolescents more responsive to stress, and I think it makes them potentially more emotional in ways, because, I mean, just imagine if you went through your day now as an adult and you were just so sensitive to everything that was happening to you in your environment all the time, to all the ups and downs. I think that would make most people feel angsty and anxious and maybe depressed if things weren't working out. So I think that probably has always been a part of adolescence. It's been exacerbated by the presence of social media.
If they're not investigating it already, which they might be, if they're not investigating it already, I want to put it on their radar screen so they take a very close...
Well, coming up later on Sky News, we'll have a special programme with Kimberly Leonard, Strip Search and Abuse of Power, 7 p.m. Tonight. Do join us for that. A little bit of breaking news now, and it comes from the UK's BMA, saying that a 4-day walkout will take place from 7 a.m. on Friday 11th of August to 7 a.m. on Tuesday the 15th of August. That's, of course, the BMA represents junior doctors, so a walkout from junior doctors from 7 a.m. on the 11th of August to the 15th of August at 7 a.m. Now, Nigel Farage says the whole NatWest board needs to go after the resignation of the bank's chief executive, Dame Alison Rose, earlier this morning, after she admitted leaking inaccurate information about his bank account. This morning, just hours after her decision to quit the bank's retail boss is due to attend a Treasury summit alongside 18 other bank chiefs to discuss the issue of debanking. Let's just remind ourselves of the timeline of how this issue all unfolded. Well, the issue first came to light on the 30th of June, when Nigel Farage released a 6-minute video claiming his bank accounts were being closed without explanation. 4 days later, the BBC ran a report, which it's now acknowledged was inaccurate, claiming Mr. Farage's account at Coutts was being closed because he did not meet the bank's minimum wealth level. 2 weeks after that, Nigel Farage said his account was to be closed because his values didn't align with those of Coutts. On the 20th of July, Coutts denied it was closing Mr. Farage's account solely due to his political views. The next day, Dame Alison sent a letter to Mr. Farage apologising for the closure of his account and ordered an immediate review. And then on Monday, the BBC apologised to Mr. Farage for its inaccurate report about his personal finances. And then in the early hours of this morning, Alison Rose, the chief executive, resigned. Of course, that came after a statement at about 6 p.m. yesterday where the board had initially backed her, though that only held for about 6 hours. She released a statement this morning. She said, "I remain immensely proud of the progress the bank has made in supporting people, families and businesses across the UK and building the foundations for sustainable growth. My NatWest colleagues are central to that success, and so I would like to personally thank them for all that they have done." Well, Nigel Farage spoke to Sky News this morning and said any NatWest board member who continued to support Alison Rose should step down.
The first rule of banking is you have to obey client confidentiality. So they have made a complete and utter mess of this. And I frankly think any member of the board that supported that statement last night simply shouldn't be there.
So if you've not got a bank account, where do you keep your money? Under the bed?
At the moment, I still have money with Coutts Bank, and the closure, the final closure, it's been extended once. The final closure is due fairly shortly. What I will do after that, I don't yet know.
How many other banks have turned you down?
10.
Which ones?
I'm not going to name them all. Right now, I'm fighting a big battle with NatWest and Coutts. I don't want to take on the whole industry.
Okay, so the chief execs of those banks, you don't want them to step down as well?
I think the problem here is that there is a culture that has overtaken the banking industry, where they've gone way beyond being banks. They've now taken a whole series of political stances, and it would appear they want to be moral arbiters.
Well, speaking to Sky News earlier this morning, Policing Minister Chris Philp said Alison Rose's decision to resign was the right thing to do.
So I think it's absolutely right she's resigned. I'm also and the government more widely, are deeply concerned that people are being losing banking services as a result of their lawful political views. Whether you disagree or agree with someone's political views, they're entitled to have banking services. I think the person responsible has resigned, and that's the right thing.
Well, our City editor Mark Kleinman joins us live now from Westminster. What an extraordinary turn of events, Mark. And in the very short term, an extraordinary turn of events just from yesterday evening. About 6 p.m, of course, the board and the chairman, Sir Howard Davies, came out backing Dame Alison Rose. And by the early hours of this morning, she was gone. In the middle of that period of time, of course, you broke the news that you expected her to U-turn and to step down. Just talk us through what you think happened from, say, 6 p.m. last night to the early hours when she announced she was going.
Well, Wilf, there was 7 hours and 47 minutes between the two statements that were issued by the board of NatWest last night. The first was effusive in its praise of Dame Alison Rose's strategy and her leadership of the business. It said that it was regrettable that she had spoken to a BBC journalist in the way that she had, but that the board would look at her pay package for the year, would take some appropriate measures to dock that, and that it believed would be the end of the matter. And of course, in the meantime, in the period between that statement and us breaking the story on Sky News that she was expected to step down several hours later, it emerged that both the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, had lost confidence in Dame Alison's leadership. And to be honest with you, Wilf, it reminded me of that period back in 2012 over the LIBOR scandal, when it became clear that Bob Diamond's leadership of Barclays at the time was no longer tenable. And that was because the Governor of the Bank of England at the time signalled that he no longer had confidence in that leadership. It was a parallel last night in terms of important figures, public figures, signalling that the boss of a key British bank no longer retained their confidence. And that was the key thing, the trigger really that forced NatWest's board into that second statement, which was issued at about 1:30 in the morning following a board meeting that began at about 10:30 last night, in which it became clear that Dame Alison would have to step down, and it was really just then about finessing the finer points of the announcement. One notable thing, Wilf, about the statement which emerged at 1:30 in the morning, a statement from Sir Howard Davies, the chairman, saying how sad it was that Dame Alison had to step down. Dame Alison saying how proud she was of her leadership. There was nothing in that statement about her payoff, and I'm told by sources at NatWest that we will have to wait until the annual report is finalised next year to learn exactly how much money Dame Alison is walking away from NatWest with, and that will be, I think, an issue that will attract a lot of attention from both NatWest's government shareholding, but also from its public market shareholders, who will not want her to receive a big payoff on the basis that she has left because of her own failings of conduct.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, Mark, because clearly as this unfolded, she actually resigned as opposed to perhaps 6-7 hours earlier. She could have been fired, and that often leads to slightly different payouts. I guess less punitive punishments, I guess, when you're resigning yourself rather than being fired. But we'll wait and see for that, as you said. By the way, just want to bring some breaking news on this story. Dame Alison Rose is no longer a member of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Business Council, number 10, has said after her resignation as NatWest Chief Executive. So again, showing that view from the government towards all of this. Mark, I guess just talking about that, clearly the focus now is a bit on to the board and Sir Howard Davies, the chairman, himself. You mentioned that comparison, which was enough to be a factor for the Barclays CEO to go around the LIBOR scandal. Barclays is a totally independent bank, but the very fact that they have clear regulators, that this is a central industry, the government's views always central. Here, the government actually owns 44% of the bank. So it raises the question why Sir Howard Davies wasn't better informed about the general views of its bigger shareholder, the government no less, before he backed his CEO at 6 p.m. last night.
I completely agree with you, Wilf. I mean, it raises some very troubling questions about the leadership and the governance of the board of NatWest. Don't forget, though, that Sir Howard Davies is already due to be stepping down as the chairman of NatWest next year. Of course, Nigel Farage has called for the entire board of NatWest to be removed as a result of this fiasco. That's not going to happen. Bank boards do not resign en masse. The regulators wouldn't allow it. But Sir Howard is already due to be stepping down. As it happens, I think that the fact that Dame Alison has been defenestrated in this way actually means that Sir Howard's tenure as chairman of NatWest will be slightly prolonged. I think he will have to stay in post for an extra year or so while they identify a new permanent chief executive and get that person settled into the job. The regulators do not like bank chairs and CEOs stepping down either simultaneously or in close proximity to one another because of issues of financial stability. So I think that Sir Howard will be in place for a little while longer, but I do think that, as you point out, this raises troubling questions about the leadership of NatWest. And of course, if you look back at the history of NatWest and Royal Bank of Scotland, as it was called previously, over the last 25 years, there's rarely been a seamless transition of leadership at the bank. Fred Goodwin obviously left during the financial crisis. He was fired, and then his successor, Stephen Hester, as chief executive, he was ousted after falling out with George Osborne, the then chancellor. The only chief executive of this bank who's left really of their own free will in the last 25 years has been Ross McEwen, who handed over to Dame Alison back in 2019. But yeah, some more troubling questions about a bank that had seemed to be back on the right path until recently, but this row over the handling of Nigel Farage's banking arrangements has really plunged it back into the mire.
And that's only the last 12 hours or so. I mean, one could talk about that long timeline I went through and the multiple statements they put out and showing they never really got ahead of it. And we're always trying to respond to the short-term aspects of the story, which itself often leads to problems for management, as it has done here. Mark, thanks so much. Great reporting, as always, last night ahead on this story. You're watching Sky News Today with Wilfred Frost. Well, coming up, we'll be talking about the Tottenham Hotspur owner who's been charged, charges he denies, with insider trading in the US. We'll talk about what that might mean for Tottenham Hotspur. We'll be right back.
Bluntly, this is the new normal. We need to learn to adapt to these higher temperatures. But what's really critical, and what the World Weather Attribution scientists have shown us this morning, is that although this is going to get more frequent, this sort of intense and very hot heat wave, actually it will keep getting worse as we keep emitting greenhouse gases. So if we reduce our greenhouse gases very rapidly, then we can avoid this getting very, very much worse, and to the point where it's much harder to adapt to. So a lot of people say, well, look at 1976, one of the hottest summers we've ever experienced in the UK. But the difference about 1976, or when your viewer was going on holiday in the 80s, is that was really unusual then. Back in 1976, the temperatures in the UK were a hotspot, and the rest of the world was quite normal. But even then, we saw excess deaths rise by about 30%. It doesn't heat equally, because already some parts of the planet are already hotter than other parts of the planet. Some parts react differently. For example, in the Arctic, actually it's warming 3 to 4 times faster than other parts of the world. And in some of that is because of the melting ice. That melting ice, that melting snow, that would normally reflect more of the heat. And so as there is more dark ocean where there is not ice, it absorbs more heat. And so the region heats faster. So different parts of the planet heat at different rate. Sea temperatures are frighteningly high this year. They have
in the Mediterranean.
Particularly around the Mediterranean and around the UK. We had a marine heat wave around the waters of the UK just a few months ago, 4 to 5 degrees higher than normal temperatures. I think that's incredibly dangerous for the wildlife in the oceans, but it also, hotter sea temperatures add to the heat we've already put into the atmosphere, and add to the heat that we're experiencing.
Welcome back. The owner of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, Joe Lewis, has been charged by US prosecutors over alleged insider trading.
We allege that for years, Joe Lewis abuses access to corporate boardrooms and repeatedly provided inside information to his romantic partners, his personal assistants, his private pilots, and his friends. Those folks then traded on that inside information and made millions of dollars in the stock market, because thanks to Lewis, those bets were a sure thing. Now, none of this was necessary. Joe Lewis is a wealthy man. But as we allege, he used inside information as a way to compensate his employees or to shower gifts on his friends and lovers. That's classic corporate corruption. It's cheating, and it's against the law.
Well, our sports correspondent Rob Harris joins us live now from central London. Rob, we should say very clearly he's denied these charges. Interesting, though, that this is more alleged not to enrich himself, but perhaps some of those around him, and he doesn't need to enrich himself. Just talk us through a little bit about exactly who this person is. And he owns Tottenham Hotspur, because often it's thought that the chairman, Daniel Levy, has control of the club.
Yes, some confusion actually over his ownership of Tottenham, and certainly Tottenham themselves have not publicly sought to really correct references in the last few months or so to him being the owner. But last October there was a change at Tottenham in terms of Joe Lewis ceasing to be someone in control. Now, ENIC, which is the company that ultimately has the majority shares of Tottenham, was something that Joe Lewis had an interest in 70% plus of the shares in. But then last year, a discretionary trust of which Lewis's family members are described as potential beneficiaries do ultimately own the company. Now, this is all part of the succession planning, I'm told, because he's 86 years old. But obviously it does throw a light on his ownership of Tottenham, and these allegations do relate to the period that he was clearly the owner, very rarely at matches though. And what is being alleged in this indictment is he was trying to help friends, associates, and even lovers in some cases, the prosecutors say, by doling out these share tips, in one case loaning around $500 million to personal pilots so they could invest into a cancer drug company that it's alleged Joe Lewis knew was preparing to release positive information about the progress of drug trials, and those shares then rose 17%, so significant money earned that way. And this insider trading is being called classic corporate corruption by the US attorney. We have heard though from Joe Lewis's lawyer, who says it's an egregious error in judgment charging Mr. Lewis, an 86-year-old man of impeccable integrity and prodigious accomplishment. The statement continues, Mr. Lewis has come to the US voluntarily to answer these ill-conceived charges, and we will defend him. Now, Joe Lewis is someone who's worth more than £5 billion. He's made his fortune over the years actually in currency trading, and it built up this fortune to the Tavistock Group, involved in real estate and gambling and many companies that allowed him to ultimately buy Tottenham in 2001. And ENIC, the company ultimately owning the club, is now the longest serving Premier League owner, although he has and they have faced protests by fans because of the lack of success in an era of Gulf states owning clubs. Tottenham, though, have only won one major trophy in 22 years of ENIC control, so there is some uncertainty thrown over all the ownership, although Tottenham would say Joe Lewis himself is now not in control of the club, and we wait to see just the next step, obviously, in how this progresses through the courts in New York.
Rob Price, thanks so much. We'll be discussing that again a bit later in the show. Right, time for the weather now.
Warm memories wherever you
The money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And I sabi you know, just have fun and stay blessed.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
All around the world.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your
This is
smartphone.
Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile. If you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. And let me say welcome to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 26th day of July, the year 2023. It's time now 10:39 from the hearts of London.
And that's what makes you.
And I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
You remain the same till the end, till the end.
So from now till 12 o'clock, I'm going to be your compere or your captain or whatever you want to call me to take you to the destination that you really want to get to. That's pertaining to all the news that you need to know and all the information, as I do say on the platform, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, is making the headlines. I promise you one thing for sure, I'm gonna touch on it. But for the time that we have, let us make hay. But let me say good morning to my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi and Mr. Francis Guy, my able producer. Also, special good morning to Bishop Adeshina, all the way in Lagos, Nigeria. But some more good morning to you. Olakunle, good morning. Sir Maxwell, good morning. Where you are, I hope you are all doing very well. Anthony Adedeji, good morning. Aziz, good morning to you. A special good morning also goes to the one and only Felix all the way in Aberdeen, Kojo D, Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin, Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama, Dr. Morton, good morning to you all. So let me put it this way, all protocol observed. Welcome to the show, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Welcome on board. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Now, if you've tuned in this morning, this is how the program goes on Wednesday edition of the morning show. If it's your first time of tuning in, I'm going to bring you the quote for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates will continue from there. We'll look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. And at 11 o'clock, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining in to bring you updates from Nigeria. We'll continue our conversation from then, and at 11:30 I'll open the lines for you to add your voice to the discussion. At 12 o'clock we'll bring the curtains down for the end of the program. Fortunately today we are not going to be taking you to the Houses of Parliament, but then after that our DJs will take over, bringing you all the mixed grill, I call it, all the music that you need. But remember, this evening, exactly like 18 hours BST, keeping fingers and everything crossed, then we should have Mr. Olayomi Koiki coming in to bring you Niger Voices. Okay, so now let's crack on. All of you. Now the quote for the day says, the world is waiting to celebrate your stardom, but here you are crying under an oak tree and gazing at the tomb of your father who passed away 10 years ago or 20 years ago, thinking my parents didn't do me well. What can you do for yourself? There is this tune that I normally like to play or listen to. So, and every generation blames the one before. So we keep on blaming them. Your children will blame you. Your children will blame you. But you can change. You can turn the tables around by doing what you're supposed to do. Get out from your blessed assurance and just get on to do something. All right. 10:43 the time. Let me bring you what is happening when it comes to the weather front. Well, for those of us here in London and the south of England, this is how the weather is going to be for us. What we're going to be seeing this afternoon, cloud and spells of rain gradually spreading into western areas. This heavier times though, not turning breezy too. Now sunny spells and few showers in the east. Tonight rain will spread across eastern areas. It will clear away from Northern Ireland, Wales and Western England, but some light showers will remain. The rain will fall heavy in the far south. So in the far south, in London area, this afternoon we'll see sunny spells to start with, but cloud will start to build from the west later. Towards the evening, spells of rain will start to develop from the west. Tonight we'll see breezy conditions and heavy spells of rain for all to start. The bulk of the rain will clear later, but will leave scattered heavy showers, this becoming lighter by dawn. Temperature is going to be 24 degrees, the lowest is going to be 16 degrees. Pollen level low, UV level high, and pollution low. Sunset 20:58 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:15 hours. That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. Starr Radio UK, my bishop, good morning once again. He says, well done to Starr Radio UK. Well done, my bishop, and thank you very much for your support. And to all your colleagues at the Arias office in Lagos, Nigeria, I salute you all and say, have a top of the day. Okie dokie, let's take a quick break and let's come back and let me bring you the travel updates wherever you might be this morning. It's all happening on the travels, and what do you have for us? Stay tuned, don't you go away. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. Also keep you navigated. I promise I'll be on the Starr Radio travel update that comes to you every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:46. And what is your travels like this morning? Wow, for those of you traveling on the underground this morning, Bakerloo line has got path closures, and Elizabeth line has got severe delays and minor delays there as well. So check before you leave. That aside, all the other underground lines have got good service. London Overground has got path closures and London traveling severe delays between Arena and Elmes and due to shortage of tram. Good service on other routes though. Moving on straight to the major roads in London, I can tell you there are serious delays on A23, A316 and A4, all suffering serious delays. So if you can avoid it, do your best to avoid that. On the river bus, as you know, the Woolwich Ferry has got planned closures today and therefore it's not running, but all the others have got good service there. London Cable Car, good service. But keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads, also keep you navigated. I promise I'll born. Take you to the final segment of the travel update, and that is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, Chelsea Railways, Great Central, okay, let me start it again. Bear with me. Chelsea Railways and Grand Central have all got special service. That aside, Cross Country, Gatwick Express, Greater Anglia, Mersey Rail, ScotRail, Southern and Thameslink have also got minor delays. Also, there are severe delays on Great Western Railway and Heathrow Express. So if you happen to be traveling that way, please check before you leave. And on that note, let me say it as I normally do. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
From SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Okay, welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to exactly 10:49, and therefore you got to know that we are going to go on a global trotting. Yes, Bishop Adesina has posted some comments. Let me bring that your way. He says Nigeria CBN still affirming the new note change policy of Emefiele, which will due according to court order on the 31st of December 2023, but yet the new note is not anywhere found anymore among Nigerians. So the question is, where are the new notes? Where are the new notes? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. You want to know more? More going to be coming your way. Some other stories I'm going to be looking at. Canada versus Republic of Ireland Women's World Cup 2023 taking place. Well, when is Nigeria playing its next game, and all the wonderful African countries that are representing us there, we'll be looking at all that. Now, how are they going to effect order that is ascetical? How will people spend flat money that is not printed? Quite an interesting one, my bishop. Let's see what is going to happen on that front. But more going to be coming your way from there. As I did say, it is Starr Radio UK. It's the Wednesday edition of the morning show. We start from a default position of being under pressure. So let's move on straight to some other stories. In other stories making the round, nationwide strike looms as Nigeria Labour Congress announces date for their strike. And also Nigeria to dollar black market price today, I can tell you that it's gone up, but he's going to be telling you more. Mr. Olayomi, Tinubu's ministerial list. APC elders battle Jonathan over Bayelsa slot. Who is Jonathan? I'm going to be telling you more about that. Let's see. Yes. APC elders in Bayelsa State chapter of their party have accused former President Goodluck Jonathan of trying to hijack the ministerial slot of the state from them. The elders under the aegis of Bayelsa APC Elders Council said Jonathan openly and actively supported Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate, in the last election. Well, you want to know more? We're talking about that. Well, wonders still never end. But some other stories. MFLA lawyers condemn DSS warders clash as family protests re-arrest. Well, I tell you, that DSS, I think they are the law of Nigeria. They are lost unto themselves, and whatever they say, that is what it's going to be. But we'll be telling you more about all that. Don't you go away. Resident doctors begin indefinite strike and Nigerian health crisis. Okay, so in other stories as well, now protests in Tunisia mark 2 years since president power grab. And then Sudan pro-democracy bloc discusses initiatives to end the war. What happened? And South Africa breaks national security advisors discuss matters of global security and economic cooperation. But we know what is going on there. Wagner in Africa, a flourishing future, but in what form is another question. Well, the Wagner group, that is the mercenary group, is still in Africa doing whatever they are doing. Where is the money going to be going to? Yesterday we were talking about the fact that the US has sanctioned some some leaders of Mali, some colonels of Mali military who are said to be ones who expedited or the arrangement for the Wagner group to come to that part of the world, to Africa, and do whatever. And I was saying that if they are giving them the security that they want, what is wrong with that? You get it? Because we've got the Western countries that were there for ages and nothing seemed to have come out of that. So if these ones are cracking the whip and the people can go about their duties and they feel more secure, well, it's what they are getting for their money. Is it worth it at all? Gambia's government revokes pharmaceutical companies license. We'll be telling you more about all that in a moment. But don't you go away. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In Ghana as well, some of the stories making the rounds this morning that I'm going to be bringing your way. Don't you go away. Don't you go away at all. Yes. Now, DDEP and injustice, major risk to Ghana's economy recovery. Senyor Hoshi is also saying, and televised sittings of committee probing leak tape on IGP. Anambona, a security expert, has been saying, we know that they will never do so. It will all be cavalier way, and they'll be going on. Stop using Judicial Council to victimize Domahene, NDC to Akufo-Addo. We know that they are doing all sorts just to silence him. But what do you think about all that? Well. But interestingly, MFLA says that he doesn't own any shotgun. So what are they talking about? Is it just like Give your dog a bad name so you can hang it. Is that what is going on there? It is still coming away from Starr Radio. 5 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. Well, Bishop Adesina says, many more Woto ahead of Nigerians this year. I told you Nigerians will cry for 4 years under Tinubu. I am talking about serious cry. God help us. My goodness. And lots of exclamation signs there for you all coming your way from the news that is making the rounds this morning. And deadly Mediterranean wildfires killed more than 40 people. Wildfires have claimed most lives in Algeria, but blazes are also widespread in Greece and Italy. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that 2 pilots died in a Greek firefighting plane crash there as well. Russia shogu a rare North Korea visit. Now, Russian and Chinese delegation are the first visit after the country shut borders due to the pandemic. And then Cambodia Prime Minister relinquishes rule after 4 decades. The hardline leader has ruled the Asian nation for 38 years, and his party has total political control. So he knows that his back is going to be protected. Speculation rife after China foreign minister removed Queen Kang's prolonged absence from the public view, and the silence over it is fueling furious speculation. What exactly has been going on there? Did they see him as one who actually was conniving, condoning and all stuff with the West, or maybe trying to sing to their tune or compromising too much? What is going on there? Australia, lucky to be colonized. Interesting. The former Prime Minister is saying. John Howard's remark come ahead of a historic referendum on indigenous recognition. Really? Driving the people into the forest and doing all sorts, and they say, oh, they were lucky that evil was perpetrated to them. Interesting. We'll be talking more about that in a moment. But at times you say some people are old, and at times you just have to just let them be. Well, Farage calls for a whole nation NatWest board to resign over Courts leak. The bank boss, Dame Alison Rose, stepped down after admitting to being the source of an inaccurate story about the ex-UKIP leader, and he's saying because of that they need to all go. We know that the boss has resigned, but we don't know if the board itself will also resign. Gina decides to strike for 4 days in August. A man fight to clear name 20 years after rape conviction. A Spurs owner has been charged over alleged insider trading. Now, British billionaire Joe Lewis is indicted in the US over an alleged insider trading scheme. Well. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. There's a lot more going to be coming your way. So wherever you are, don't you touch the dial. It's going to be a wonderful time, wouldn't it? Okay. Enjoy this music, and I'll be with you.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, in a nutshell, that is saying that Almighty God, we glorify you, we exalt you, and we lift your name on high. That's the gist of it. So enjoy it.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Yes, I'm hot. African praise there for you. Made in the Ghanaian port. From Shadrach Mensah. But all just giving thanks and praise to the Almighty God for all that He has done. As I would say on this platform, may Nigeria not happen to you, and we hope Nigeria is not happening to you. And this morning you are well. Whatever it is, you are still alive. Once you are alive, there is hope for you, you know. Okay, let's continue to enjoy that music whilst we wait for Olayomi Kweke to join in. From our North London studios, this is what coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It's your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
All around the world. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
Only the best music.
Are you ready to turn it up? Turn it up.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your station, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, and we are bringing you the Wednesday edition of the morning show. And at this juncture, it's my singular honor of once again welcoming my colleague and co-presenter Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yes, on the show. Yomi, massive good morning to you, and how are you?
Well, I'm doing very well. A very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the globe, and those that are joining us on the sister broadcast from the Twitter to the Instagram to the Facebook to the YouTube. Remember to also follow us on the social media, especially as the Twitter is the best engagement, as we always say. The Starr Radio UK on Twitter, or download the apps where you can also follow us. I'm doing very well. It's good to be back. Windy outside. But again, we are ready, as we always say, the 26/07/2023, 8 minutes past. I know we are probably pressed with time, but like I always say, it is the Wednesday Niger Voices, and there is always a lot to discuss. I'll be telling you what we're going to be discussing later, but let me come back again to you in the studio, and I might share a little bit of my outing yesterday. It's what I call a day out in the park, end up at Oxford Street, a street that doesn't get tired or busy, and I'll be telling you those that I met on holiday, and we'll do a comparison again this morning.
Well, listeners, that is for your ears only. So wherever you are, we want to say thank you very much. And those of you on all the other platforms as well, we want to salute each and every one of you. As we say here, we know that it costs you an arm and a leg to actually listen or watch us, and you do it religiously, and we so much appreciate it, and I say thank you very, very much. But now let's move on straight to some of the stories that is making the rounds this morning. Let's pick it from the currency behind you. Now, Bishop Adesina has said that, well, the central bank is still going to go on with the date that was set by the then central bank chief, that is MFLA, that the 31st of December 2023 will be the time that they will now write out or wipe out the old currency, and therefore now the mixture is going on. But apparently what Bishop Adesina is saying here is that their new currency is nowhere to be found. Yummy, what exactly is going on? Is it did MFLA take it to his house?
Well, maybe Emefiele had it in his house, and that was why there was a bit of tuffle. And I'm not talking about, a joke here. There was a real tuffle. I will see if we can get that behind the scene later from the engineer that are working on that. When it comes to how Emefiele, should we say, was not handled properly or should we say, like I heard you saying before I came on air, the DSS is now the government of their own. There was a real tussle at the court yesterday in Ikoyi when Emefiele, was meant to be returned back, to the custody. But it seems that the DSS, as we know them, are not respecting the institution. You did ask whether Emefiele took the money with him. Since the money has been out, I got to be honest with you, I've not seen any of the new currency, and that is a huge problem. So the question then is, how much of the new currency was actually printed, and how much of it is still in circulation? But let's leave that aside, because we know that Emefiele was working on the order of the former president Muhammadu Buhari, and that literally means that Emefiele had no intention to do what he wanted to do, but on the instruction of the government. Now, the Naira or the new Naira note is not just the issue on the table right now. We are also talking about the policies of the CBN, when it comes to when it actually comes to the dollar. Do we have enough dollar? Do we have enough of it to go in circulation? I am not sure whether we do. We're trying to see if we can get that image up, but it seems that there's a technical glitch. We see how far we can go. But let me come back to the real CBN conversation. The central bank is now on the acting, so we don't have the full person in charge. But Bola Tinubu removed Emefiele, not because Emefiele upset Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but because the DSS have been trying to get Emefiele in the first place. But the central bank is now promising to tackle the forex pressure, raises lending rate. What does that mean? The acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Folorunsho Shonobi, has said that the bank will address the demand pressure on the country's exchange rate as the Naira continue to slide against the dollar. We're talking about almost 850 Naira to the dollar in the black market, and the pounds is gone up to 1,120 as of this morning. While answering the journalists on a 2-day monetary policy committee that ended in Abuja yesterday, within 1 week, the Naira actually fell to the dollar from 820, did I say 850 earlier? It is now gone to 870 at the parallel market. And all this is because Nigeria do not have its own industry to facilitate the less pressure on the Naira itself. Let me come back again to you in the studio at 30 minutes past 11 because of the time constraint.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting development there, because the question is, what policy has the central bank got? Because like Yomi is saying, if we are importing everything, the crude oil, we take it out and then we use the scarce resources to import finished fuel into the country, then what are we expecting?
Well, we're not expecting much. What we can say is that it seems that there is just something not right when it comes to the Naira. For years we've been saying it. Nigeria has not been a producing country. We have been a consumer rather than a producing country. So that literally put pressure itself on the Naira. Also, since Nigeria refused to accept that, and these are part of the tussle that was going on. You could see that is the prison service has been torn to pieces by the DSS, not respecting the same uniform of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is how Nigeria has been, and that is reason why the Naira itself is collapsing as quickly as possible.
Now let's come to Emefiele's situation once again. Now, he is denied the charges that he owns a gun. He said, I don't own a gun. Now, if the judge is saying that, okay, he has to reappear before the courts again, why was the DSS stopping the prisons service people from taking... what exactly was going on? Did the DSS want to now have him in their custody, or the prisons officers? What exactly went on, Yomi?
Well, let me tell you, whoever has the big man has the money in the pocket, because money would also flow through when we talk about somebody like Emefiele. Emefiele in the hands of the DSS means that the government must take care of him while he's there, and Emefiele would also have to take care of himself. So it seems that the tussle that was going on, as we saw yesterday at the court, not too sure again. While it seems that we are having technical glitch, but when we see, we can bring that up later on during the Niger Voices. Let me go back to what we know. This is coming from some of the legal team. Another brutal assault on the scared institution of the judiciary. Bear with us there. Can you still hear me back in the studio?
We can hear you, we can see you, we can see everything perfectly.
Okay, all right, because I lost my screen here. But let me pick that back again. It seems that the case of Emefiele is just the same thing that we've talked about. Judiciary is not respected, and the event that unfolded during the Emefiele trial yesterday were not just disturbing, it just brought back the memories of a similar past occurrence. Remember that even when those that were kidnapped from Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho's residence, they were not brought into appearance by the DSS until there was pressure. And again, we saw the same thing with Omoyele Sowore. We saw the same thing with Oyendo Mazinam Kanu by the same lawless DSS. And some of the response underneath says, I'm just going back to someone that actually posted what Nnamdi Kanu said in 2021, June precisely. A democracy functions only when the three arms are functioning. For almost 2 months, the judicial has ceased to function. That means your constitution and your civil liberties are suspended. The NAS, which is the Nigerian Senate, barely function, and the Nigerian government has crumbled to a terror in the north. Is Nnamdi Kanu right? As of 2021, with this statement, you can tell from the outfit of these, the prison warder being almost stripped naked in the presence of the cameras. The DSS have become a monster of their own.
But the question is, what did the judge say? What was it?
Well, the judge actually granted a bail, which is why it needs to be returned back and facilitate that bail. Bail must be accepted since the judge has approved a 20 million bail. What then needs to be done is, if Emefiele has the money, he will put the money out, and then he will be given the restriction of his bail order that must be respected. We are not sure why then the DSS override what the judge have said. This is a banana country and this is a zoo, as some of us believe that if it's not a zoo, or even the zoo has its own order, what could have been why Bola Tinubu, the president, is looking away as the DSS Director General Bichi continue to disrespect that institution and also disrespect the prison warden. As you can see there, these images have gone around the world. And I was saying to those that still say that Nigeria is still going to war, would these have ever occurred in a UK present in Supreme Court or the lower court? Even the court that takes you when it comes to your TV license. I am not sure that if you're allowed to go to the prison and facilitate your bail, then in the MI5 will come in and tear the warden like these and then disrespect the citizen. The citizen is not guilty until the court proves the guilt.
I don't get it's a serious shame and a dent on Nigeria's image, if there is any image that is left. I mean, that's what people be telling me. But I think it's about time that what Nnamdi Kanu said at the time 2021 is exactly what is happening. And if care is not taken, Buhari himself, he might be one day also apprehended by these same DSS people, and we'll see what happens from there. Because it's like Nigeria is still in the military era. This is not democracy. If the three arms of the governance is not functioning properly, I mean, Nigeria is finished. Let me put it that way. If the president
remember that we talked about it last week, that the case of Emefiele and Tinubu will be the test of the judiciary. And what is playing out right now, I hope that the president will be doing something as quickly as possible, not to tarnish more of the image of those institutions, that the international community uses to gauge Nigeria. And when those are says that Nigeria must remain the same, some Nigerians or some Yoruba rather say Republic of Ireland is playing Nigeria today. They are only 5 million with a GDP of $500 billion. Why should 250 ethnic groups become the phrase was Agbaya. Agbaya means that the elder is like we want to go and play the 5 million people when 250 people have joined together, because the selection will be from all the ethnic groups, and that means 250 ethnic groups is playing one nation, and that is going to be happening. I don't know the scoreline yet, but what I can tell you is that Nigeria is still doing very well so far. They've got a point. Republic of Ireland have not got a point, so that means they'll be doing everything possibly best to win the game, as the game will be kicking off very, very soon. So Nigeria is the same table with Australia. Australia has got their 3 point. Canada and Nigeria played. It was a draw, even though Canada lost a penalty.
Well, listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 11:21 the time. Bishop Adesina says now £1 to 1,120 naira in 2 months at the level. So that's what he's saying there. What are you also saying?
As he says, DSS, Distribution Services System.
That is a good description for it. Now, interesting. But I hope that the president responds to this, because it's gone viral everywhere you go. Every news network that I was looking at, I was reading from, have all got this Emefiele's case and what is going on there. And
but it is going to be a news. Remember that this is not a young or small position. We're talking about the same position like the Bank of England. Emefiele has met with different banks of England or banks of
international
banks around the world in Africa. So his case is not something that banking institution around the globe would not be interested. They would like to see, even if there's an allegation. And it remind me of Kemi Adeosun, the finance minister that was pushed out of the government of Buhari, maybe because she has not done the right thing when it comes to the NYSC certificate. But the same people that protected her for that NYSC uploaded that same thing back, and she has gone quietly out of the scene since 2015.
Bishop Adesina says, if the judges and judiciary in Nigeria knew what they are doing, the director of the DSS should be sued. For contempt, straight, because this is what the judge has said. Why should they act otherwise? But as we are saying, it looks like there's a fourth arm of governance, and that is DSS. Okay? Yes, DSS. That is the fourth arm of governance there. But listeners, it's Star Radio UK. As Yomi said, lots going to be said or discussed this evening on the Niger Voices. But let's look at this story. CBN, okay, my apologies. Let me quickly bring this one. There's one. That is appointment of the Nigeria demands reforms as Tinubu submits ministerial list. Who are there, and what are the people saying, Yomi?
Well, by the time the list is finally, in the public domain, we will find out who is there. But Nigerians are demanding reform as Tinubu submit the ministerial list. I've not seen the list yet, but the Nigerians have demand economic growth, which is a big issue. The Naira is really in coma, and Tinubu must revive that as quickly as possible to stabilize the country. Tinubu is expected to submit the much awaited ministerial list to the National Assembly, which is not out yet, in the next 24 hours. Remember that the 60 days lapses in the next 48 hours. So on the 29th of this month, that means that Tinubu will be 60 days. And what Buhari has done before he left is that you must, even though he didn't do that, we know that Buhari never gave us, the ministry, list, for more than 3 months. But he has now said that Tinubu must do not the same thing that he has done. What are we expecting? A presidential aide who demanded not to be told who he is, said yesterday that the president stretched the submission of the list, stretched the submission of the list to the last day to ensure that the list was very, very inclusive, which a lot of Nigerians will be expecting. A lot of Nigerians expect that the inclusiveness will keep Nigeria together, and the Senate will be expecting that list. The list will become public in the next 24 hours. And I can tell you Nigeria will start scrutinizing every names on that list to see whether it is biased, whether it has stabilized in terms of the regions. Because remember that Tinubu changing of the security chiefs was a little bit more fairer than the former president Muhammadu Buhari, that thought that the Fulani owns the government by employing as many of his own ethnic people into the government, and he didn't move an inch. But Tinubu has become a little bit giving out. So, but the other question is, are we going to see somebody like Ganduje becoming a minister, even though he has a case on him? Are we going to see somebody like Wike, that was part of the 5G government that did not support Atiku and allow Tinubu to win in the Rivers State? All these will be vetted. Are we going to see technocrat? We don't know yet, but be rest assured, on the Star Radio UK next week Wednesday, if the list is out, then we will be discussing every details of that. But tonight, the focus will be on the NLC. Are they going to go ahead with the strike that we're being told will take place on the 3rd of August? Or are they going to be called back again into a roundtable discussion and resolve these internally so that Nigeria do not go paralyzed? Are we going to see that the resident doctors that have now begun indefinite strike amid already the Nigerian health crisis? So tonight is all about the NLC going on strike. Will they go according to what they have said, or will there be a solution? Why is the tension in the southeast? Is also the discussion tonight. As I'm monitoring what is going on, there is protest against the government for trying to shut down the stores or the shops of those that refused to come out on their civil disobedience yesterday. And it seems that order has been given that they must be restricted from they must stand their feet, according to the government of exile of the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. Let me come back again to you in the studio at 27 minutes past. There's a lot going on in Nigeria, and it seems like they say Nigeria is really under pressure, like Raskimono told us some few years back.
Oh yes, under pressure. Now, as it says, good morning to you, Mr. Archie, Mr. Koike, the rest of the Star Radio kitchen, and Peru. As Nigeria becomes a laughing stock in the world. What a shame, and what a shame. And we say that the president should speak or crack the whip now, or else. They say when you have a dog and the dog pursues, a wild dog pursues everybody, bites everybody, and you think, oh, my dog is okay. When everybody is finished, it's now turn onto you and come to bite you. Are we going to see that, or will the president crack the whip?
Well, the president might have to crack the whip quickly, because he's creating a lot of roadblock in Abuja right now. And the reason for that is the president is not living in the presidential house. He's still moving from the defense headquarters straight into Aso Rock every morning. And according to the news coming out now, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is deliberately causing roadblock daily in Abuja, disturbing the resident and the local economy. He deserves to be dragged, kicking and screaming from the Aso Rock by the Abuja resident. That is what he meant by Emilokon, the megalomania.
Well, Emiloko is 10, is now president, so what do you expect? Well, somebody is asking the question. He said, looking at what the DSS is doing now, should the election tribunal come out with a verdict to say that there should be a rerun? Will they upheld that particular situation? Will the DSS and all the institutions uphold that particular ruling if the election petition tribunal bring that on? Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Early hours of this morning, I was saying that whatever is going to be the outcome,
like Nigerians believe, gods will just have to accept the fate. Whether the government would accept that is the question. The judges will say that this is not going to be in the hands of the DSS anymore. I'm not sure whether they'll have to arrest the judges. They will be there waiting for them. House arrest. But if the judges do say that there should be a rerun, then the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu must do the needful. It will not be the only country around the world that is going for rerun. The last one we saw recently was Turkey. There was a close margin between Erdogan and the opposition, and there was a rerun, and Erdogan won. So Bola Tinubu should not be scared. If there's a rerun, let the rerun go through, and if he wins, he comes back and returns his certificate, and if he loses, he might stay in Nigeria, or he might just end up back in London and stay and watch the development of Nigeria.
Well, listeners to Star Radio UK, it is 11:30. We'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories. As you know, Wednesday's default position, we are pressed with time. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, let's hope that the kidnapping, the killings that is still going on in Nigeria will be tackled quickly by the new security chiefs, because that is what we were promised. But it seems that there's a lot going on. More killings is happening on a daily basis. In Ogun State, the southwest of Nigeria, gunmen have kidnapped the ex-FCE provost, wife and driver on Abeokuta Ibadan Road. This particular road is very popular, and it links the outskirts of going out of Lagos State and then going further into other territories as well. According to what we know, Mr. Jai was adopted, not alone, but with his wife and driver, not too late. I mean, I was in central London, like I said yesterday, up till about 2100 hours, and I got back home. I wasn't worried, I wasn't scared that somebody would kidnap me. And I was going to tell you who I met. I met these 4 young, beautiful Saudi Arabian, I'm not going to say they're women, they're still young girls. And I did ask them, where they're from. They told me they're from Saudi Arabia, very looking good. They're here for 1 month on holiday, and they said they're having the best of their time here in London. And I got back home, I picked up the news as well that it seems that the Saudi government will probably allow their citizens to come here on holiday, because why? The Saudi government have invested in UK 1.5 trillion pounds sterling. So we hope that the new service chiefs will get the grip quickly and resolve some of these, because 7 p.m. is not that late for people to be kidnapped at Ikija village in the Olodo axis of Abeokuta Ibadan Road. The gunmen, as we know, have been operating not today, not tomorrow. The kidnappers have later released Mr. Jai's wife, while the ex-provost and his driver were held in hostage. So we hope that solution will be resolved there. Let's go to the FCC chairwoman 6-letter fraudulent. Dan Kaka evading probe, according to the red panel. There's everybody that always say, whenever they have to attend, what they call, investigation, is either they have to get something on their neck. Remember that we had one that came with a stretcher into the, and the reason for that, we got the image there. So what do we know so far about, this individual? Moses Anagwa, a federal commissioner at the Federal Character Commission, representing Delta, as counter his chairwoman, Farida Dankaka, the picture right there, letter stating why she could not appear before the House of Representatives that probe panel on employment racketeering. Miss Dankaka, in a letter she wrote to the ad hoc committee investigating the federal ministry, department, agency, tertiary institution on mismanagement of personnel recruitment in Abuja, claimed she was scheduled to see a doctor. The ad hoc committee is also investigating employment racketeering and also gross mismanagement of the IPPIS. The commissioner representing Taraba read the letter stating that she had a medical appointment with a doctor, but in a swift reaction to the letter, Mr. Anagu said the chairwoman was in her office at the time of reading the letter of her purported ill health. Sometimes you are seeing people, but you don't know what they're going through medical-wise, as we do say, until proven guilty by the doctors to confirm that, yes, she's not just trying to evade, she's only trying to do justice to her health. Let's come back again to Emefiele. SSS tweeted profiling the Igbos, deleted after outrage. Following the outrage from the Nigerians, the State Security Service has pulled down a tweet profiling the Igbos. According to what we know, the SSS Primitive Tuesday was heavily censored for using his official Twitter page to taunt Maxwell Okpara, an Igbo lawyer, for defending suspended CBN Governor Emefiele, linking him to the proscribed. According to the news here, we know that they are proscribed because that is what the Nigerian government has put the IPOB, but outside the country, they are not proscribed. People of Biafra without evidence. That again is generating, and I've seen some of the tweets where people are responding to say, could it be that because Emefiele is from the southeast, that is why his mismanagement is appearing to be. But also, I picked up a tweet also as Davido, a very, very sad news. The situation is getting out of control. I could see a dead body in the southeast in Enugu state. Damages, the headline here says 3 minutes ago, the Islamic terrorist in uniform of Umba brought to Enugu was shot dead. Shot dead 2 Biafrans. What this means is that every uniform in Enugu will be engaged anywhere you see them until we restore peace by eradicating them from the street. We hope the situation will be put under control. It seems now that there is a huge confrontation, and I can see damages are happening and dead body. One so far, according to the image that we can show due to the social media policy. So Enugu is really under real tension. We hope the government will intervene quickly and restore peace in that region, as we say. Let me come back straight to the social media as we look into what is trending this morning. Again, there is another report of how my mistress in Imo State brutalized me with hot water, and housemaid have cried out. Hot water was literally poured on her chest. It seems again too much injustice going on in Nigeria, especially those that are keeping the housemaid. It seems that Spain have actually finished Zambia with 5-0. Wow, what a very bad result there for the Zambians. Naira is really trending, Buhari is still trending, and like I said, there is a lot of trend going on in Enugu, Southeast. Both two are trending simultaneously, and it's due to the fact that there is an ongoing protest for those shop owners that their stores were locked because they were sitting at home yesterday in the order of the governor of Enugu State. And the Biafra government in exile have said they must go back and open the store. And the question is, who is in charge? And who should the people on the ground listen to? The governor or the government in exile? This is now creating the huge protests that have led to the death of an individual in Enugu State. We pray for peace to reign in that region. Let me come back again to you in the studio, but later on at Niger Voices, we would have so much to discuss when we review the NLC, and we talked about the Southeast situation and other news as well.
Well, listeners, it's 11:38 and we won't go any further because we know that this evening Yomi is going to be back with you and we're going to be looking at all those stories. The NLC strike, is it going to happen or not? We have the doctors who are also going on an indefinite strike. What is going to happen there? Is it going to bring Nigeria to its knees, and will that cause the president to sit up and see what to do best or next? Let us all join Yomi exactly at 18 hours. That is 6 p.m. If you're in Nigeria, 6 p.m. Yeah. And then let us enjoy that show with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yomi, let me say thank you before you go.
Well, it is the PMQ. We still have our own to deal with here as well. Let's see how that is going to be tackled without a blow in the parliament. And we'll be monitoring that on the Starr Radio UK network. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you on the updates from Nigeria. But this evening, as I did announce, he's bringing you Niger Voices, so make a date with him. We are pressed with time, so I'll go through it and then we'll bring you some music before we sign out. Okay? So, now moving on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds on the African continent. Yeah. Let me bring that your way. We lost everything. Survivors of Algeria fires in shock. The majority of the blaze, which started on Sunday, have now been put out, according to local reporters. It's one of the stories making the rounds there. And it says that fires raging through forests, mountain, villages, and towns in northern Algeria have left at least 34 people dead, and 23 of them in the coastal region of Béjaïa and its surroundings, according to authorities. The majority of the blazes, which started on Sunday, have now been put out, according to local reports. But the horror of the past few days around west affected regions are just emerging. Locals here in the coastal region, 250 kilometers east of capital Algiers, sit in shock outside their homes and businesses. This once lively roadside restaurant lies gutted by wildfires that spread over the hillside around the commune of Wed Das, and several burnt out cars lie overturned on the highway, caught by the racing flames. Local says 3 families racing to get away from the flames died trapped inside. 16 men, women, and children. A very, 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 very sad situation there that is going on here or across the globe now, and especially in Southern Europe as well. Okay, so moving on straight, one other story from Dance, and then we just move on. And that's Sudan's pro-democracy bloc discusses initiative to end war. Now, as to whether that's going to work or not is another story. But let me bring you this final one pertaining to second Russia-African summit that is going to be taking place. The story says, now Russia's second largest cities will host the second Russia-African summit starting on Thursday. That's tomorrow. The Kremlin has confirmed the participation of 49 African countries and several leaders, including South African president, after an inaugural summit in 2019. This meeting is a key step towards reassembly of relations between Russia and the continent. Experts Vizbor Lord Zredov has predicted the main goal of the second Russia-Africa summit is to see what has been done in recent years. The world's economy and politics have changed. First, there was the COVID-19 pandemic, the special military operation, referring to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Experts at the Center for African Studies, expert at the Center of African Studies, HSEE University, have said, my apologies, the framework in which Russia and Africa interact has seriously changed. Therefore, evidently, there needs to be a reassembly of the relations between Russia and Africa to find common grounds to explain to each other outlooks on topical issues, for example, on the Green Deal. But do you think that's going to bring about any difference? Was an envoy went there and he decided after that go on the offensive to bomb and get out of the deal that was brokered by the UN boss. And so what next? Wow. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds in Ghana as well. Let me bring you this one. Financial and economic policy analyst Senor K. Hoshi has said the government domestic debt exchange program is an economic injustice to the average Ghanaian. According to him, the move is also a major risk to the recovery of the Ghanaian economy. In a letter of resignation as one of the conveners of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum, Mr. Hoshi stated that he found joy in realizing their collective efforts have brought success to affected lives. I have come to understand the nuances of people, management, and public policy making better, he wrote to the conveners of Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum. Well, so he reckons he's done his bit and he's out of here. But one final story that is making the rounds, the NEC is calling on the ruling government and the judiciary, or the Attorney General. He said the National Democratic Congress says the paramount chief of Doma, a traditional area, His Royal Majesty Osajifo Osiadeyo Ajimanbedu II, is being persecuted by the Judicial Council over comments he made in relation to prosecution of the MP for Asin North, James Jachikwesi. The NDC further cautioned the Judicial Council not to allow itself to be used by the government to reintroduce a culture of silence in Ghana. Now, the Mahini has appealed to the Attorney General to consider entering a nolle prosequi in light of the overwhelming endorsement and re-election of James Jachikwesi by the good people of Asin North in the just ended by-election. In a statement signed by the General Secretary of the NDC, Fiavi Kwete, now indicated that this is not the first time that a chief in Ghana has commented on an issue of public interest. We have Lasantehine who from time to time will comment on things, issues like that. What has been done to him? Why hasn't he been chastised? Or some of the paramount chiefs. We had Ochehene, who the day before also made a statement. So why haven't they come against people like that? And why are they coming against? All that he said was that he didn't say that the man didn't do any wrong. No. That's not what he said. He says that with the overwhelming support that is God to endorse him as the substantive MP for their area, he reckons that it's better for them to let go. But now we had the decision. So can you just imagine if it happens that the presidency changes, and so we have the NDC, or the government changes, and we have the NDC in power. Now, what will all this? So at times when we are making such decisions, I ask myself the question: do we think aloud, or is it just we become short-sighted in our thinking? Well. It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me bring you one other story, and then we'll move on. That's quite an interesting one, and that pertains to what is being said about the alleged. No, it's not alleged. Okay, let me put it that way. The police committee that were putting measures in place. Meeting some MPP to plot the sacking of the IGP. So now this one security analyst, Dr. Adam Bonner, won sittings of the 7-member ad hoc committee constituted by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagbe, to probe the leaked tape allegedly by high-ranking police officers scheming to get the IGP removed to be televised. Now the call comes after Parliament on Tuesday finally settled on composition of a special committee set up to investigate a leaked audio tape of high-ranking police officers scheming to remove Dr. Ekufu Dampare as IGP. The committee, chaired by the Ebuakwa South MP Samuel Atecha, has James Agaga, MP for Bolza North and former Deputy Interior Minister as Vice, MP for Mfansiman, Ophelia Mensah, Okaikwe Central MP Patrick Yabuama as a member, while West MP Peter Tobu, and that of Asunafo South Eric Opoku, all as members. Dr. Isaac Latte Annan from the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice is a technical person to assist the committee. The committee has 2 months to complete its work. Commenting on in that interview, Dr. Adam Bonner said probing of the case should not be concealed, but rather televised for the public to keenly follow proceedings. But would they do so, especially when they know that could put a dent in their image? You think government is going to do so? If actually there are people who are supporters, and that is why we talk about the fact that things are not as they seem. But what do you think? 12 minutes to the end of the program. Starr Radio UK, the station, the morning show. I am Archie. Now let's move on straight to other parts of the world to look at some of the other stories making the rounds there. A Russian delegation led by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu has arrived in North Korea to be joined by a Chinese delegation later on Wednesday. They will attend Pyongyang's celebration of the 70th anniversary of the end of the Korean War, marked typically by massive military parades. The visits are the first of the kind to the North since it shut its borders to try to keep out the pandemic. It is unclear if this signals a change in Pyongyang's border policies. Now, reclusive North Korea has sealed itself off from all trade and diplomatic ties in early 2020, even with Russia and China, its main economic and political partners. They even cut off imports of essential goods like food and medicine. Now, North Korea has been facing food shortages, which have been made worse by its border closure and strict international sanctions that have been imposed because of its nuclear program. Now, some analysts say the inclusion of Chinese and the Russian envoy in this year's Victory Day parade, as the 1953 Korean armistice is called in the North, hints at a possible loosening of COVID restrictions. It comes weeks after images of North Koreans walking around without masks were shown on state media. The Russia delegation arrived in North Korea late on Tuesday and received a warm welcome on the tarmac at an airport in Pyongyang. Okay, well. Everybody wants somebody who sings from the same hymn sheet that they are singing from, right? Sanctions from the West. They are also facing sanctions from the West, and they were having their big brother China also coming there as well. But let's see what is going to happen there. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In China as well. Well, speculation is rife. The China foreign minister removal sparked speculation. Now, speculation on Qin Gang remained rampant on Wednesday, a day after he was removed as China's foreign minister just 7 months into the job. No reason was given for Mr. Qin's removal, which was announced after an emergency meeting on Tuesday. His predecessor, Wang Yi, has been reappointed to the post. Now, official silence over Mr. Qin's unexplained disappearance from public view for the past month has sparked speculation both in China and abroad. Now, social media on Wednesday was full of searches and speculations over his abrupt dismissal. Now, Tuesday's brief announcement on state media, which said only China's top legislature voted to appoint Wang Yi as foreign minister, has only added fuel to the fire. It is unusual for rumors about such a senior official to be discussed on the Chinese internet without complete censorship, observers say. The absence of a censorship makes people wonder if there is any truth to rumors about power struggles, corruption, the abuse of power and positions, and romantic relationship, Yang Chong of the National University of Singapore has said. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. So what has happened to him? We're not very sure of it. But let me bring you this story before we come to the UK. Now, colonization was the luckiest thing that happened to Australia. Really? Now, the nation's second longest serving Prime Minister John Howard has said his remarks were made in relation to an upcoming historic referendum on Indigenous recognition. If successful, the vote will change Australia's constitution to give First Nation peoples a greater say over the laws and policies that impact them. But the debate has seen a surge of divisive commentary. Speaking to the Australian newspaper about the upcoming vote, Mr. Howard described colonization as inevitable and praised the British as infinitely more successful and beneficent colonizers than the European counterparts. He also predicted that the Voice to Parliament initiative will fail to pass, leaving a new cockpit of conflict over how to help Indigenous people in its wake, while accusing its proponent of failing to sell it to Australian public. The referendum on the Voice, Australia's first plebiscite since 1999, was announced by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the start of 2023. If passed, its supporters say it will lead to people a better outcome for Australia's First Nations people, who face lower life expectancy and disproportionately poorer health and education outcomes than the white Australians. But those against it argue, among other things, that the Voice is a largely symbolic gesture which will fail to enact reform while also undermining Australia's existing government structures. Now, recent polling has also shown a steady yet dramatic decline in public support for the Voice as the debate grows more protracted. Mr. Howard is one of the most influential Conservative figures to throw his weight behind the No campaign, but his own legacy on Indigenous affairs remains controversial. His government weakened First Nations land rights, suspended Australia's Racial Discrimination Act, and refused to apologize to the stolen generation, tens of thousands of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children who were taken from their families by the government until mid-1960s. Now, you did this evil to people and you think it is okay You think it's okay? And in 2007, he was the architect of the intervention set of policies which saw Australia's military deployed to seize control of daily life in 73 remote indigenous communities across the Northern Territory. The now disbanded scheme, which was enacted following a government report on the sexual abuse of children in Aboriginal communities, has been criticized as coercive and cultural insensitive. Should the shoe be on the other foot, how would you have felt like? So when we talk about discrimination, we talk about racism. My goodness. Well, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Well, Nigel Farage has managed to get the NatWest boss out. But Farage calls for the NatWest board to resign over the court's leak. Now, the bank boss, Dame Alison Rose, stepped down after admitting to being the source of an inaccurate BBC story about the ex-UKIP leader. Now, the question is, how are people still taking the fact that we decided to leave, to exit the EU? That is a Brexit thing. How are people taking it? Have some people taken it more personally? Because when we're talking about people who are suffering because their businesses are suffering because of the fact that they left, and look, there are lots of things that is happening. You look at the economies for the G5 countries, and you see that UK is the last. Why? Because of what was happening in the trade. I mean, you are on a bigger market, and decided, you know what? Let's leave that. Let's live. We want to be our own bosses. We want to negotiate our own deals and stuff like that. And it all did happen. And what happened after that? That is the problem. So the ex-UKIP leader Nigel Farage has called for the entire NatWest board to resign over leaked information about him. It related to Nigel Farage's status as a customer of Coates, a private bank for wealthy people owned by NatWest. Now, Farage says he was effectively debunked for his political views and that he is far from alone. NatWest boss Dame Alison Rose resigned in the early hours of today after being the source of an inaccurate story to the BBC. The BBC have apologized for its initial report, which said Farage had fallen below the financial threshold needed for an account. NatWest is part owned by the taxpayer after being bailed out by the government as a result of the financial crisis of 2008. Well, it is wrong for the bank to say that, yeah, you, because of your views, we want to, we'll take you out. We'll just close your account. That is not on. That is not on. That, for that fact, is right. But this shows how people are upset about what has happened to us pertaining to the Brexit. How it's impacted people's lives, businesses, name it. Well. Listeners, this is how I have to bring, or where I have to bring the program to a close. But as we did say, Yomi is going to be coming your way this evening exactly at 18 hours with the Niger Voices. But until then, I say have a top of the day, and may Nigeria not happen to you. It's been me, Archie, saying bye-bye for now. Stay blessed.
Listen to the backing vocals, how sweet.
Children, you don't know who to
tell they love you now.